Well, hey, welcome back. Welcome for the first time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know where you are, where you're listening to this, so I'm trying to hit all the realms here, okay? All the time zones. But yeah, goodness, already at episode 3. Dang, I'm slightly impressed with myself. Oh no, all joking aside, I'm gonna have to apologize right off the bat here because I think in my last episode I said I was going to go on to some other topics, but this topic of showing grace, and I know I'm focusing more on showing yourself grace because obviously we can show grace to other people and things like that, but it's been an area recently where I have struggled. I think I said that in the last one. Anywho, I'm rambling, but I guess that's kind of what I do. So, yeah, hopefully this one's enjoyable. Hopefully you get something out of it. I do know that at least one person will get something out of it. The person who actually requested I do this. I'm doing it for y'all, but mainly for him. So, but yeah, last episode I talked about showing yourself some kindness. A little bit of the difference between negative self-talk and positive self-talk. But on this one, I was like, all right, I made my list. I was like, all right, here's the 6 or 7 things I'm gonna focus on to talk about, with regards to showing yourself grace. And the first one, oh, that one kicked me in the gut because I was like, oh man, I haven't been doing this for myself. Then I looked at my second one, thought to myself, all right, I'm done with this topic. Because just the self-reflection that I do my best to do, and I don't do it all the time. I don't do it. I haven't been doing it regularly and consistently, but that self-reflection of where was I, where am I now, things like that, kind of leading into topic number 2 of showing yourself some grace. It hit me that, yeah, I needed to work on this area too. Oh my goodness. But yeah, instead of sitting here rambling about all my self-reflection for now, topic number 2 of this little itty-bitty tiny series is don't compare yourself to others. Now, not that that's always a bad thing, okay? There's, in my opinion, in a lot of scenarios in life and a lot of things, there's always the positive and the negative side of something. Every coin has heads and tails, 2 sides. So, and I also do firmly believe that out of everything good comes something bad, and out of everything bad comes something good. So, it's just this idea for me of starting to rewire my brain to be able to think differently, be better, do better. I know it sounds cliche, but it is what it is. It's my brain. So, and hopefully you guys, understand where I'm coming from with that. But moving on to, don't compare yourself. It's not always a bad thing, comparing yourself to others. But it can be a bad thing, just depending on which side of the coin you're doing it from. We've all heard, time and time again that you shouldn't compare yourself to others. And the problem is it's, comparing ourselves to others, whether it's a friend, whether it's an actor, actress, superstar, even a person on social media who has more followers than us. It's kind of a human impulse, almost human nature for us to compare ourselves to others, So you can't simply just be like, okay, well, today I'm going to stop comparing myself to others. It's kind of impossible, I guess you could say, And again, not all comparisons are bad. Sometimes when you compare yourself to somebody or something that is doing better than you, that could be a good thing. I think that some people call that an upward comparison. And that happens when you're comparing yourself to somebody that you perceive as superior, I guess. But for me, I view it more as they are doing what I want to do. They are achieving the things that I want to achieve. They're in the positions that I would like to get myself to in life and work, with this podcast, with my books, So that type of comparison can sometimes improve your life by showing you the positive side of things. It might motivate you, or might motivate me, to start making some positive changes in my life to where I can start moving forward and achieving those things. Like I'll use the example of jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I trained with a lot of brown belts. I've trained with some black belts. And seeing them being in those ranks and watching them do better than me, and then me trying to work towards learning how to do my technique better, helps motivate me. I'm like, okay, they've got it. I can do this too. And so it motivates me to continue moving forward with it and continue practicing and get back on the mats and start rolling again. So, that's just a little example. And there's a million, but like I've told you guys, I'm trying to keep these a little shorter for now, so that maybe it's a little more entertaining for you guys to, listen to. Now there's also, I believe they would call it the, obviously we've got upward comparison. Well, what's the opposite of upward? Downward. So, there's downward comparison, which obviously happens when you're comparing yourself to people who you perceive as worse off than you, and that's not always a bad thing. It might come across as a little judgmental. I get it, and that's not the intent, but it definitely can assist. I mean, it has me to be a little more grateful for what I do have in life and where I am at in life. So, there's a positive, in my opinion, of the downward comparison, So, like, as an example, on social media, upward, people have more followers. They have cleaner content. Their videos are better. In your opinion, they're smoother transitions. They pick great music. Their lip syncs are better. They got better dance moves. Okay, in that area, dance moves, I'm not trying to improve in my dance moves. Sorry, what you see is what you get. So, but I think you guys get the point on that. Now, the downward comparison, I see some people who, they have fewer they have fewer followers, and that's not good for them. And it's not like I'm saying, oh, I'm better because, oh, Eddie, you have almost 15,000 followers. Oh, okay, that's not the point. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, this person's doing similar stuff. They're promoting positivity, personal growth, and they've been doing it almost as long as I have. They've got 10,000. Okay, so they're doing good. I'm doing something right, and so I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. This is working, So, and admittedly, I probably could have come up with a better comparison, but that was just the first thing that popped into my head. And since I really don't script this thing, we're gonna roll with that, Plus, it's honestly kind of an insignificant thing. Numbers on social media. I'm not saying I don't care about the numbers per se. To me, the numbers aren't, hey, let me hit 1 million so everybody can look at me. Mine is, let me try to impact more people. So the larger my number is, the potential of impacting more people on a day-to-day basis has increased. So there's my little disclaimer. Anywho, we're moving forward on that. I think you guys get the point of the upward comparison and the downward comparison. So, you've also got some people who say things like, oh, comparison is the thief of joy, because it can trigger feelings, of envy, self-doubt. It can be dissatisfaction that's triggered. It can be superiority. You think you're better because on this downward comparison, you're thinking you're better than people. And I get it. There's a positive and negative side to just about everything out there. So it's up to you to determine what you're going to do with these comparisons. Are you going to fall into the negative pit of, oh, they've got more than me. They've got a nicer car. They've got a bigger kitchen. They have 5 cars, 10 dogs, whatever the case might be. And is that going to take you down this negative path? If so, you've got to reset, and you've got to change the way your mind is thinking about those things. I've been there. I've also had people in the past look up to me, so to speak, or look up towards me, like, oh my gosh, you have the perfect marriage, my marriage isn't like that. And then it just goes downhill because they focus on that negative aspect instead of saying, oh, Eddie's marriage appears to be good. It appears to be great. How did he do that? Let me look into how he's doing that. Here's other people with phenomenal marriages. I want that in my life. Let me learn how to do that. And I'm not picking on, that example is friends from my first marriage. Obviously, I'm divorced twice. I do not have the perfect marriage. I don't even have a marriage. But I watched so many friends comparing their marriage, their relationship to other people's that they felt were better, but they took it as a negative. I'm not doing good enough. Woe is me. I've done that. I've had friends who've had more, and I celebrated with them. I'm like, oh man, gorgeous house. Oh wow, that car is amazing. Your motorcycle is so new. It's gorgeous. I'd love to have that. And then I started noticing that became unhealthy because I was viewing the negative side of that upward comparison. I'm trying to think of times where I've done downward comparison, and I'm not trying to glorify myself here, but I can't really bring to memory any time where I've done a downward comparison in my life and been like, ha ha ha, I'm so much better than they are. Oh, I've got my purple belt in jiu-jitsu. You blue belts and white belts are horrible people. I'm superior now. I can't think of one, but if I do, I will mention it here on this podcast for sure. I will throw myself under the bus. So, it's just to keep it positive and showing yourself grace. You want to avoid becoming conceited and arrogant, and do your best to stay humble when you're doing any type of comparison. In my opinion, it's less stressful. In my opinion, But so that's kind of why. Not really why, but that's I'll say that's why it's kind of crucial to disconnect yourself from the negative comparisons, and a way that you can do that is by showing yourself grace. And the way that you can show yourself grace in this area is, in my opinion, I'm sure there's more steps, but just four little steps, 4 little things that you could start implementing that may assist in showing yourself grace when it comes to comparing yourself to others and keeping that more positive view on the comparison and detaching from that negative comparison. One is compare yourself to the past self. Comparing yourself to your past self. Okay, also, another one is, figure out what's making you unhappy and work on that. Being grateful is another way to do this. Again, these are things I've done, I've fallen short on, I've stopped doing, I've regressed, but I think these things, these paths in life, like healing and everything like that, they're not linear. So we're going to have fallbacks. We're going to loop back around. Don't beat yourself up about that. It's okay. But yeah, compare yourself to your past. The person you were yesterday should be your one and only competition. Your goal should be for yourself to do better and better each and every day, so that you've got that personal growth. That doesn't mean you can't upward compare or downward compare, but keeping, as you're doing it, be like, well, how was I doing this yesterday? Ooh, I was getting a little arrogant there. So today I'm not going to be arrogant, or I'm going to work on being less arrogant. So just compare yourself to your past self. I've done that a lot. When I was working on this one, I looked at how I was with my first ex, and after that divorce, I look at myself, how I was with my second ex, and how I was after that divorce. I can even look at, after my second divorce, some of my conversations with my first ex. I might not have liked them, but there were some great points, and I was a little more open to her viewpoint of me after my second divorce, and the way that she was trying to assist me, than I was after she had divorced me, and was really giving me the same messages and encouragement, if I'm being completely transparent and honest. So, I can see that progression of me when I go and I do self-reflection time and I look at my past self. I can see where I've done better in a lot of areas. So I can also see where I've done worse in areas. And so I turn around and I work on those as well, But like I said, also, the second one, figure out what's making you unhappy, Sometimes, it could be, you're not working out enough. It could be so many things, but sometimes unhappiness manifests itself in making comparisons, so figure out what's causing your unhappiness, your uncontent mentality, and start making the changes that you'll make, or that will make you satisfied with the life you're living right now. It could be the little things like I have a bed to sleep in, I have a car to drive, regardless of the condition of the car, regardless of the size of the bed. If you've got a twin mattress, okay, at least you got that twin mattress. And I know some of this stuff sounds really cheesy and Zen-like, I guess you could say, but it does help a little bit. And sometimes writing this stuff down, journaling will help it. You can go back and you can reflect, and you can be like, oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was a 5 with the fact that I had a twin-sized bed, 6 months later, I'm an 8, and I'm about to buy that queen or king or whatever. So I think you guys get the point on that. It's that self-reflection that helps you, go back and find out what's making you unhappy. Another one, being grateful. Being grateful. That can be tough sometimes, especially when we compare ourselves to other people. We sit there and we compare, we get caught in that negativity, and we forget about our own blessings. So it's kind of important, in my opinion, to show this gratitude for the things that you have, rather than the things that you don't have. Little example, after my first divorce, my first wife and I, we had a gorgeous house. She busted her butt in her job. She made good money, and I was making decent money. But I went from living in this gorgeous house with my family to renting a room from a buddy. His house was nice, don't get me wrong, but I was renting a room. It wasn't the same, and oh man, I used to beat myself up. I was not grateful. I was grateful for him allowing me to rent the room from him, but man, I started getting jealous that that I signed over, if you will, that my ex-wife got the house, and so I really, throughout that time, I was not working on myself, so I was not grateful for darn near anything. I was pissed off. I was like, nothing in my life is working. Oh, no shit, Sherlock. You have this negative attitude. Everything's going to fall apart because that's what you're putting out there. It's what you're telling yourself over and over and over again. So as my life started to get a little bit better, I had people in my life telling me, find the positive. Look at the positives. Pollyanna moments. I started to become a little more grateful in little things. And that grew and grew and grew. So, and then yes, I had my setbacks. like I've mentioned multiple times so far. But regardless, be grateful for what you have and where you're at, because it could be worse. Now it's up to you to go and find out how it could be worse, to positively compare to where you are, so that you can help yourself with that, and be grateful. Find those moments in those areas that you can show gratitude towards yourself for the things you have. And I just realized I told you guys that there were 4 things, and I just went over 3. So number 4, remember, and this one tricks me up a lot, regardless of how many times I switch to this mindset, because we are so used to being told one's perception is one's reality. Yeah, I get it. When my perception was that my life was crap, my life was crap. Okay, just honestly. But when my perception was my life was great, man, it may not have been that great to other people, but it was great to me, So remember that perception is generally not reality. When you negatively compare yourself to others, you are really wasting your time, to be honest. You have no idea if your perception of their life is accurate. Zero, nada, zilch. Key in point, my first ex-wife and I, we had a great marriage at times, and we had a horrible marriage at times. Obviously, we're divorced. So, her perception of me, and I thank her for telling me this, was that I never grew up. I was childish. My friends looked up and like, oh, you are so mature. You've got this career. You're so driven. My perception of myself was I was a loser. I couldn't do anything right. My wife hates me. Oh, she's leaving me. I went from this to this. I'm a failure. So, I could go through many, many more, but, again, I'm trying to keep this a little short, and I think I'm going longer than normal. But the point being is there was a bunch of different people's perceptions about me, and then mine about myself. So, again, you never know if your perception of another person's life, marriage, finances, job, yada, 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 is accurate. And the other thing is unhealthy comparisons do not benefit your life in any way. Again, this guy over here is doing great at his job. He's so much better than me. I suck. I go down in a blaze of glory. It did. It really tripped me up a lot. But when I'm like, oh, they're doing great, I'm happy for them. Okay, how did they get there? And then I start taking those steps. My life grows. My life gets better. So, again, unhealthy comparisons don't benefit you in any way. They're going to distract you from living your life and making the changes that will make you happy, make your life better. Whether it's physical fitness, whether it's mental health, emotional health, your diet program, your weight loss journey, your self-love journey, regardless, stop negatively comparing yourself to other people. That is a great way to start showing yourself some more grace in life. Now I've got to go do some journaling, list out some great things, but don't lie to yourself. Don't say, "Oh, I'm Superman," when you're currently not. Be real with yourself when you're doing these comparisons, but find those positives, and that kind of tracks back into that more positive self-talk versus negative self-talk. So, And with that, when you do things great, start celebrating yourself with that. Give yourself little victories. And I just started reading into the next episode, so we're going to stop there. We'll talk about celebrating yourself next. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, but I've said it a bunch. I'm trying to keep these short for people, so I know you guys have lives that you want to live, and so yeah, that's just my little number 2, if you will, on showing yourself grace. You know, don't compare yourself to others in a negative way. Find those positive ways so that it helps motivate you and assist you in reaching your goals and having the life you want to live. And on that note, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this and you want to continue to support the page, please click follow or subscribe or whatever the platform you're listening on says. Feel free to share this to other people that might find it entertaining or, heck, educational, I dare say. But, if you also want to continue to find other ways to support me and the podcast, you can head on over to my Beacons link. That's beacons.ai/Eddie Bowers. I also have a Patreon page. If you go over to patreon.com, just type in chat with me, and that'll take you to the page. There are a few different membership programs there. Do not feel obligated. Of course, I'd appreciate it. But you can just follow it there as well and see some updates. I do things that are just to the public, as well as some special things for members there. Every little bit counts. Every little bit helps. But the biggest thing is just you guys listening and finding me on social media and interacting with me. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Much love, and have an amazing morning, afternoon, day, evening, whatever time it is that you are listening to this. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. And remember, you're worth it.